My mom disowned me in a group chat for being a loser. Years later, she showed up at my door Reddit stories. She erased me publicly and proudly, and my siblings applauded. When I finally built a life worth protecting, she decided she deserved access again, and refused to take no for an answer. Hi, I'm Garrett, 32, and the day my mother disowned me wasn't loud, dramatic, or tear-filled. It was a text message. A group chat text, to make it even colder. Public. Casual. Surgical. Mother's Day dinner, Sunday at 6 p.m. For successful kids only. There's no room for losers. That was it. No explanation. No metaphors. No soft cushioning. Just a written eviction from her universe. The craziest part? Nobody, not one of my siblings, said a single word in my defense. Not Blaze, the cardiologist prince. Not Rue, who drinks $9 coffee and calls it a personality. Not Bryn, who cries pretty and manipulates prettier. They reacted like Mom had simply announced a brunch reservation. Thumbs up emojis. Flower stickers. Polite, breezy enthusiasm. Meanwhile, I stood in my cramped apartment kitchen with a Tupperware of reheated spaghetti, reading my own erasure in real time. And here's the thing. I wasn't even surprised. Because in my family, success didn't mean character. It didn't mean compassion. It didn't mean showing up when someone's roof was leaking or when a basement flooded at 2 a.m., or when bills piled up after Dad died. Success meant being someone Mom could brag about between Pilates and wine tastings. Blaze? Braggable. Rue? Braggable. Bryn? Braggable enough if she stayed thin and kept her LinkedIn updated. Me? Factory worker. Human disappointment. Never mind that I stayed after Dad died. Never mind that I worked double shifts to help with his medical debt. Never mind all the nights I showed up because nobody else did. None of that made the cut. I was the son she couldn't leverage for clout, so she cut me like a coupon that expired. I didn't argue. Didn't plead. Didn't send a dramatic monologue about loyalty or sacrifice or the fact that I literally paid half of Dad's funeral while Blaze sent a gift shop card. Nope. I quietly left the group chat. Blocked every number. Finished my spaghetti. Not because I was okay. But because I was finally done hoping to be. And that one silent exit, that tiny, ordinary decision, set off a chain of events that would come back around years later, when the woman who erased me suddenly needed the son she threw away. And when she showed up at my door, I learned something shocking. You can't walk back a betrayal you delivered proudly. And you sure can't outrun the consequences. Especially when the person you disowned has finally built something worth protecting. After I blocked the group chat, the world didn't explode. The sun didn't dim. No dramatic thunder rolled in over the horizon. My phone just went quiet. Quieter than it had ever been. No guilt-tripping texts. No "Can you swing by?" favors. No emotional boomerangs ricocheting into my day. Silence. Beautiful, terrible silence. I went to work the next morning like nothing happened. Clocked in, pulled on my gloves, listened to the machines wake up one by one. Same metallic symphony Dad raised me on. But something inside me had shifted. Something small, but catastrophic. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel responsible for people who didn't care if I existed. Over the next few weeks, I did something nobody ever warns you is both freeing and painful. I stopped being available. When Bryn called needing help moving a couch, ignored it. When Blaze sent a text asking if I could check Mom's gutters because he was busy with rounds, deleted it without opening. When Rue posted her family brunch photos with everyone but me, #blessed, didn't look twice. I faded from their world and, to my shock, they didn't chase me. They didn't notice. Or maybe they noticed and didn't care. Either way, it taught me the lesson that broke me cleanly to the core. You're never as important to someone who takes you for granted as you are to yourself. Months passed. I worked. I saved. I slept on a mattress that had a weird dip in the middle. I learned the hydraulic press's moods, the way it hiccuped before it failed, the particular whine it made when the feed sensor misaligned. I became good. Really good. The kind of worker factories keep quietly until the day they retire. And somewhere along the line, while taking night classes and fixing machines and minding my own life, I healed. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just slowly, like rust dissolving from metal you didn't think could shine again. Then, one afternoon about 6 months later, I ran into Blaze at the grocery store. We locked eyes between the cereal and canned soup. He froze. I froze. Then he turned his cart around. Literally spun it in the aisle. And walked away like I was a bill collector or a ghost returning for vengeance. Didn't even say hi. And that's when it hit me. I hadn't been cut out because I was a disappointment. I'd been cut out because I was inconvenient. The scapegoat. The filler child. The one who stayed when nobody else wanted to. And once I stopped playing the role, they simply recast the show. No explanation. No accountability. Just replacements. But here's the thing about losing people who never valued you. It makes room for the ones who will. And I was about to meet someone who would flip my entire world upside down. In the best way possible. She arrived with a barcode scanner, a sharp tongue, and zero tolerance for laziness. And she was going to change everything. Her name was Saskia, and the first thing she ever said to me was, "If you're taking over line 4, fix the barcode scanner. I'm not logging another 42 duplicates because some intern kicked the mount loose." No hello. No smile. Just pure, unfiltered competence delivered like a punch to the jaw. I fell a little in love right there. Not that I realized it. At the time, all I saw was a woman who worked harder than anyone I'd ever met, who packed her lunches in organized Tupperware stacks, who could dismantle a pallet discrepancy with the precision of a courtroom attorney. While my family dismissed me, ignored me, rewrote me out of their fairy tale narratives. She saw me. The real me. We started small. Coffee breaks. Lunches. Late-night troubleshooting on opposite sides of a malfunctioning conveyor belt. Then one stormy evening, after a brutal double shift, I drove her home. She hesitated at her apartment door, rain dripping off her hair, and said, "You want to come in? I've got leftover chili and a couch that doesn't judge." That couch changed my life more than my mother ever did. Soon we were inseparable. Carpooling, cooking together, arguing about which brand of laundry detergent actually worked. For the first time, family didn't feel like something I had to earn by performing. It felt like something I built. Piece by piece. Choice by choice. Person by person. Then came the night that redrew the map of my universe. She stepped out of the bathroom holding a pregnancy test. 2 lines. Clear as day. "I don't know how to be a mom," she whispered. "I don't want to raise a kid in silence the way we grew up." I took her trembling hands. "This kid," I told her, "will know they're loved before they know their own name." And I meant it. From the deepest, rawest part of me. I meant it. But fate has a sick sense of humor. Because just as I finally built something real, solid, mine, the past came knocking. Not with flowers. Not with apologies. But with screenshots. I didn't know it yet, but the moment I updated my LinkedIn, the moment I became someone Mom could brag about again, my entire estranged family noticed. And they were about to come crashing back. With all the desperation of people who only realize what they lost when they can no longer use it. I didn't even think twice when I updated my LinkedIn. New title, Senior Plant Director. New responsibilities, new salary, new team. It wasn't bragging. It wasn't spite. It was just accurate. 4 days later, my phone buzzed. A name I hadn't seen in 6 years lit up the screen. Rue. "Hey stranger. Saw you on LinkedIn. Senior Plant Director? Wow." Mom was so proud when I told her. "We should catch up sometime." Proud. That word hit me like a dropped wrench to the skull. Proud. When she'd kicked me out of Mother's Day because I lacked ambition? When I worked double shifts to pay Dad's medical bills? When I fixed her roof, her basement, her emergencies for years? When she cut me out of the family group chat like a weed? Proud. I didn't respond. 3 hours later, Mom called. I let it ring out. She left a voicemail, her voice bright, cheerful, fake sweet like a PTA mom trying to sell raffle tickets. Hi, sweetheart. I saw your picture in the paper. You look so handsome and successful. Why didn't you tell us? Your brother and sisters were just saying how proud they are of you. Call me back when you get a chance. Love you. Love you? As if those words still had weight. As if she hadn't torn that bridge down with her bare hands years ago. I stared at the phone, thumb hovering over the call button. Old instincts tried to kick in. The need to keep the peace. To earn acceptance. To be the good one. Then Saskia walked in, eating a grilled cheese and wearing my hoodie. She took one look at my face. Your mom? She asked. I nodded. She chewed slowly. Swallowed. Then said, Do you want to call her back? No. Do you want to send a 3-paragraph text telling her how badly she failed you? I laughed. Oh, extremely. But no. She set down her sandwich, stepped in close, kissed my shoulder. What do you want, Garrett? It was such a simple question. But it cracked something open in me. What did I want? Not revenge. Not apologies. Not validation. For the first time in my life. Nothing. I said. I want absolutely nothing from her. Saskia smiled gently. That's healing. She whispered. That's freedom. But Mom didn't take the hint. Of course she didn't. 3 weeks later, she escalated. Not with texts. Not with calls. But with showing up in person at my workplace, unannounced, dressed in her church cardigan righteousness, waiting in the lobby like a woman expecting a Hallmark reunion. Security called my office. Mr. Whitlock, there's a woman here claiming to be your mother. I stood, looked out my office window, and saw her 6 floors below. Perfect hair. Perfect posture. Perfect entitlement. Does she have an appointment? I asked. No, sir. Then she's not authorized to be here. Escort her out. That was the moment the war started. She thought she could bulldoze back into my life with charm and nostalgia. She thought being Mom was a magic key. She thought I was still the son who would drop everything and forgive her because she looked sad. But I wasn't that boy anymore. And she was about to learn, in the most humiliating way possible, that you cannot erase someone and then expect them to save you from the emptiness you created. Security escorted her out of the building, but the part that stayed with me wasn't the removal. It was how calm she looked while it happened. Like this was a temporary inconvenience. Like she was being asked to step out of a boutique dressing room, not a corporate lobby she had no right to enter. Like she fully expected me to chase after her. I didn't. Instead, I filed paperwork. The kind of boring, airtight, administrative evidence that doesn't care whose wound you came out of. Incident report. Time-stamped entry logs. Camera footage request. Email to HR. This individual is not authorized to visit me. Do not allow her access. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't emotional. It was procedural. And paperwork, unlike people, cannot be guilt-tripped. That night, I didn't rant, cry, or spiral. I went home, kissed Saskia, reheated leftovers, and told her what happened. She blinked once. Then twice. Then said, Okay. She's escalating. We document everything from now on. And that was that. Life went on. For a while. Until she showed up again. Not at my home. Not at work. Not even in a place she could justify as coincidental. She showed up at Saskia's OBGYN appointment. Parked in the lot holding a teddy bear with a pink bow. Waiting like a predator who thinks it's a grandmother. She approached the car, tapped on the window, pressed her face to the glass and peered inside like she had a right to the world she burned. Saskia locked the doors, called me, filmed everything. Mom followed her 3 blocks when she tried to leave. That was it. That was the line. I called my attorney, filed for a harassment restraining order, sent every screenshot, every report, every second of footage. Saskia didn't say, "Are you sure?" She said, "Do you want me to print these or email them?" A week later, I sat in court watching Mom try to cry her way out of consequences. But tears don't work on judges. Not when there's documented evidence. Not when someone has crossed the boundary hard enough to leave dents. The order was granted. No contact. No visits. No third parties. No loopholes. Mom looked at me like I'd ripped out her heart and stomped on it. But I wasn't the one who killed our relationship. She fired the first shot years ago. I merely stopped standing where the bullets landed. And for a moment, a fleeting, flickering moment, I thought that was the end of it. But see, my family has a talent. A specific, impressive talent. They always find a way to make a terrible decision worse. And on my daughter's first birthday? They did exactly that. My daughter's first birthday was perfect. Small. Warm. Safe. A handful of friends. A tiny cake. Ivy smashing frosting into her hair like she was trying to style it with sugar paste. Saskia glowing, tired, beautiful, proud. For once, life felt simple. Then the doorbell rang. Not a timid ring. Not a neighbor ring. A long, insistent ring. The kind of ring entitled people use when they assume you're lucky they showed up. Saskia froze mid-cake slice. Were we expecting anyone? I wasn't. I checked my phone, no messages, no missed calls. Walked to the door, looked through the peephole, and felt my stomach drop. All 4 of them. My entire estranged family lined up on my porch like a deranged holiday card. Mom in the front, holding a giant pink gift bag Tiffany would have blushed at. Blaze behind her, wearing a country club-approved polo. Rue with her phone already raised, probably live-streaming her own moral comeback arc. Bryn clutching flowers, crying with weaponized delicacy. They looked rehearsed. Coordinated. A family flash mob of guilt. I opened the door halfway. Didn't step outside. Didn't invite them in. "What are you doing here?" Mom stepped forward, her smile trembling. "We came to meet Ivy. It's her birthday. We're family." "No," I said. "Your blood." "Not family." Bryn sniffled. "Garrett, please. We made mistakes. But we drove 3 hours. Turn around," I said. "Drive 3 back." Blaze crossed his arms. "Don't be childish. We're trying to make amends. You watched me get disowned in a group chat," I said. "And you said nothing. All of you." Rue chimed in, voice high and false sweet. "We're here now. That counts." "No," I said. "It doesn't." Mom finally cracked. "This is ridiculous. I am her grandmother. I have rights. You violated a restraining order." Mom's face went pale, then hard. "I'm your mother. And you erased me," I said calmly. "I'm returning the favor." Saskia joined me then, one hand on her hip, the other gently touching the doorframe. "If you don't leave in 30 seconds, she said, "I'm calling the police." Mom's voice broke into an operatic wail. "How can you do this to me? After everything I've done for you?" I almost laughed. "Parenting isn't a lifetime bill you get to collect on," I said. "And if it is? You overcharged and underdelivered." I started to close the door. Mom lunged, actually lunged, like she could force the hinge with sheer maternal delusion. I shut it anyway. Locked it. Deadbolt. Chain. Then I picked up my daughter, who was busy trying to eat a chunk of wrapping paper, and kissed her forehead. She giggled. Outside, through the window, Mom pounded on the door and screamed my name. Inside, Ivy laughed and shook a rattle. Two sounds worlds apart. I pulled out my phone, called 911 and said, "My mother is violating a restraining order. Please send officers." And then I went back to my daughter's birthday party. Because love doesn't wait. And neither did she. The officers arrived in under 10 minutes. By then, my mother had resorted to pacing my driveway like a suburban ghost. Rue was recording everything for her healing journey, vlog. Blaze was scowling like this whole thing inconvenienced his golf schedule, and Bryn was crying so hard she looked like she was auditioning for a pharmaceutical commercial. 2 patrol cars pulled up. Lights flashing. But no sirens, thankfully. The neighbors didn't need popcorn for this. An officer knocked gently on my door. "Mr. Whitlock? Can we come in to verify everything?" I let him inside, handed over the restraining order paperwork, the harassment reports, the certified mail receipts. He nodded. "We'll handle it." I stood in my living room, holding Ivy on my hip, frosting all over her face, watching through the blinds. Mom tried to play innocent. "Officer. Ma'am, you've been served with a no-contact order. You cannot be here." "Mom, this is a misunderstanding. He's my son." "Officer. And you are violating a court mandate." Rue stepped forward, phone raised. "This is wrong. She's a grandmother." "Officer. Ma'am, step back or I'll cite you too." Blaze tried logic. Or at least what he thinks is logic. "She's emotional. We drove 3 hours." "Officer. Distance traveled does not override a restraining order." Bryn just sobbed into her bouquet like she expected the flowers to recommend a lawyer. Then came the moment. The officer turned to my mother. "Ma'am, turn around. Hands behind your back." The look on her face. Shock. Betrayal. Outrage. As if gravity had personally wronged her. "This is ridiculous," she shrieked. "I'm his mother. I have rights." "Not here you don't," the officer said, cuffing her. "Not after violating a court order and refusing multiple requests to leave." Rue filmed it like she just discovered her true calling as a documentarian of consequences. Blaze muttered something about calling a lawyer. The officer didn't even look at him. Bryn's knees buckled, her dramatic crescendo of tears echoing off my mailbox. Mom was placed in the back of the patrol car. Still yelling. Still insisting she was the victim. Still refusing to accept she'd lost control years ago. The officers took statements, issued trespass orders to the siblings, and warned them that returning meant immediate arrest. When they finally drove away, my mother red-faced in the back seat, screaming into a window that muted her perfectly. I closed the door. Turned around. And there was Ivy, babbling at a balloon. Oblivious. Safe. Loved. Saskia slipped her arms around me from behind. "You okay?" she whispered. I nodded. And for the first time since I was a teenager, I really meant it. Because watching your abusers face consequences? It doesn't feel good. It feels like justice. Quiet. Clean. Necessary. But the story wasn't finished yet. There was one more confrontation coming. Not with my mother, but with the entire narrative she built about me. And I was finally ready to burn it down. The police cars had barely turned the corner when my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. Missed calls. Voicemails. Desperate texts from numbers I didn't recognize. Bryn must have enlisted her entire book club. But I ignored every one of them. The party settled again. Kids laughing. Paper plates. Balloon strings getting tangled around little wrists. Ivy smashing her second cupcake like she was trying to fistfight dessert. Life went back to normal in about 6 minutes. Funny how peace works. It doesn't ask permission to return. It just walks back and like it owns the place. Later that night, after the last guests left, after the frosting was wiped from the baseboards, after Ivy fell asleep in her crib snoring like an overloaded printer, I finally checked the messages. Not to respond. Just to know what they were trying to pull next. Mom's voicemail was first. Her voice was trembling, dramatic, theatrical, classic. Garrett, sweetheart, the police humiliated me. In front of your siblings. This is not what I raised you to be. This is cruel. I didn't deserve to be arrested on my granddaughter's birthday. She paused, then delivered the line she thought would break me. You're going to regret pushing your real family away. I deleted it. Next was Rue. We just wanted to fix things. You didn't have to be extra and get the police involved. We could have handled this like adults. Adults don't show up to a house they're legally forbidden to approach. Deleted. Blaze's message was shorter. You made Mom cry. Good job, man. Also deleted. Then Bryn. I tried so hard to get everyone to move on. You didn't have to escalate it. We're your siblings. Why would you do this to us? Deleted. Their soundtrack was predictable. Victims in their own story, villains in mine, accountability allergic in all universes. I opened the last message in the thread, a text from an unknown number. Proud of you. It took me a second to realize who it was. Dana. My dad's sister. My aunt. The only person who showed up to Dad's funeral without trying to harvest emotional credit from it. She wasn't invited to the party, she lived 2 states away, but clearly someone had sent her the footage. Before I could respond, another message came in. Your dad would have been proud too. You broke the cycle. Don't ever let them rewrite what happened. I sat down on the couch. Saskia curled beside me, resting her head on my shoulder. What are you thinking about? She asked softly. I watched Ivy on the baby monitor, arms thrown over her head, mouth open, dreaming whatever dreams babies dream. I was thinking, I said slowly, about how peace isn't quiet because nothing happens. It's quiet because nothing toxic is allowed to happen. Saskia kissed my cheek. That's the home we're giving her. I nodded. That was the moment it truly settled in. I wasn't the black sheep. I wasn't the disappointment. I wasn't the embarrassment in steel-toe boots. I was the first person in my family line brave enough to walk away from generational rot and choose something better. The next day, I went to the factory, my factory, really. I practically ran the place now, and for the first time in my entire adult life, I didn't feel like the kid left behind. I felt like the man who got out alive. 3 days after the birthday incident, HR called me into a meeting. Not because I'd done anything wrong, but because apparently 4 very loud, very entitled people had flooded the company voicemail claiming I'd weaponized security against family. I was emotionally unstable. And my personal life was hurting workplace morale. Workplace morale. At a factory where a forklift named Dennis had once set itself on fire because someone plugged a space heater into the wrong outlet. The HR manager, Carl, nice guy, shaped like a beanbag chair with a tie, closed the door and sighed. So, Garrett, anything you want to tell me about? I nearly choked on my coffee. What? No. He slid his laptop around to face me. There they were. 4 complaints. Written in the elegant, self-important grammar of people who think customer service lines tremble when they call. Carl cleared his throat. I ignored them, obviously, he said. But your mother left 7 voicemails. One was 8 minutes long. She sang in the middle of it. Sang? He nodded. A hymn. I think. Not sure. Could have been a threat. I put my head in my hands. Carl leaned back in his chair and steepled his fingers like he was preparing to say something profound. I listened to all the evidence you forwarded. The restraining order. The footage. The police report. It's clear you're not the problem. I exhaled for what felt like the first time that week. But, he continued, I do need to know if she's the type who will show up again. She won't, I said. The courts made that extremely clear. Carl nodded approvingly. Good. Because our front desk staff is still recovering from the last time. Janine had to stress eat an entire cheese Danish after your mother left. I snorted. He closed his laptop. That's all. You're good. And Garrett? Yeah? For what it's worth, you're one of the most grounded people in this building. And this building contains 3 grown men who argue daily about which Pokemon would win in a fistfight. I laughed. He wasn't wrong. That night, when I walked through the front door, Saskia barely let me put my lunchbox down before blurting, "You're not going to believe who called me." My stomach dropped. Who? She sighed and handed me her phone. Blocked caller. Voicemail transcribed. The message began with the familiar venom-coated sweetness. "Hello, Saskia. This is Garrett's mother. I'm calling because he's clearly too emotional to make rational decisions." I stopped reading. "You didn't listen to it, right?" I asked. She shook her head. Then her eyes softened. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't want this following us home again." I wrapped my arms around her. "It won't." This was the last gasp. People like her, they always try one more time. They always think the person they abused is eventually going to crack and let them back in. Saskia leaned her forehead against mine. "And are you going to crack?" I smiled. "No. I'm good. Really." We sat down on the couch while Ivy crawled around making war crimes with a board book. For a moment, everything was peaceful. Quiet. Warm. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Almost. But curiosity is a stupid, stubborn thing, so I opened the text. Only 2 sentences. "Garrett, this is your father. Your mother's been admitted to the hospital." My chest tightened, not with fear, but confusion. He hadn't contacted me once in 6 years. Not once. Another ping. "She's asking for you." I stared at the screen. Saskia watched my face shift. "Is it her?" she asked quietly. "No," I said. "It's worse. It's my dad. Do you want to go?" I thought about it. About the years of silence. The abandonment. The arrogance. The rewriting of history. The one-sided mourning where I grieved a mother who hadn't died but acted like I had. I finally shook my head. "No," I said. "I'm done showing up for people who never showed up for me." Saskia squeezed my hand. But then the phone buzzed again, and what he said next wasn't manipulation. It wasn't guilt. It was something else. Something that made my stomach drop straight through the floor. "Garrett, she collapsed in court today. She was filing for grandparent rights." I froze. Saskia's eyes widened. "Oh?" she whispered. "Oh no." Because we both knew exactly what that meant. This wasn't over. Not even close. The words grandparent rights hit like a wrench to the gut. Not because I was afraid of losing. The law was on my side. The restraining order was ironclad. No, what scared me was what it meant. My mother wasn't trying to reconcile. She was trying to force her way into my daughter's life through the courts. The same way she tried to force her way into every version of mine. A legal fight meant months of attorneys, hearings, paperwork, emotional drain, money. A war she started, not because she loved Ivy, but because she refused to lose control. I read the message again, slowly. She collapsed in court today. She was filing for grandparent rights. Collapsed. Court. Grandparent rights. My pulse hammered behind my teeth. Saskia watched me, her hand tightening on my arm. "Garrett, what is this? What does she want?" I swallowed. "She wants visitation. Or custody leverage. Or bargaining power. In what universe does she get custody?" "She doesn't," I said quickly, "but filing means she thinks she can force it. Or at least make our lives hell." Saskia sank onto the couch, one hand over her stomach. "She's dangerous," she whispered. "And she won't stop." I already knew that. My mother never fought fair. She fought with reputation, manipulation, image. Weapons forged in the fires of decades-old ego. The phone buzzed again. "Dad?" She's stable now. They're running tests. She keeps asking for you. I'm not saying you have to come. But she keeps saying, I need him to understand why. Why? As if there was a grand explanation. A revelation. Some noble motive hidden behind years of cruelty. I stood in the living room staring at the message, silent long enough for Saskia to say my name twice before I heard her. What are you thinking? She asked. I'm thinking this might be the last time she ever tries to speak to me. Good. Saskia snapped, then caught herself, softer now. Sorry. But, Garrett, you don't owe her anything. Not a bedside visit. Not closure. Not forgiveness. She was right. Logically. Emotionally? I didn't know. Did I want answers? Did I want proof she had no answers at all? Did I want her to see me now, stable, successful, loved? Not the version she painted in her head? Or did I just want to finally be the one who walked away by choice? Instead of being pushed out. I picked up Ivy from the carpet. She reached for my shirt with her tiny fist and giggled. She didn't understand any of this. She didn't deserve any of this. My mother wasn't thinking about Ivy's well-being. She was thinking about entitlement. Ownership. Legacy. Control. I held my daughter tighter. This ends with us, I murmured. Saskia stepped closer. So, are you going? I exhaled slowly. I don't know yet. But if I do, I'm not going to comfort her. Then what? I looked toward the front door. Not because I planned to leave yet, but because it felt like some symbolic threshold. If I go, I said, it's to make one thing absolutely clear. Saskia waited. That she can apologize. She can explain. She can cry. She can beg. But she will never, ever be part of our daughter's life. The room went quiet. Not heavy. Just final. Then the phone buzzed again. A new text from my dad, one sentence that sent a chill down my spine. Before she collapsed, she told the judge something about you. Something serious. You need to hear it. I stared at the screen. Saskia whispered. Garrett, what did she say? I didn't know. But I suddenly knew I had to find out. Because whatever my mother told the court, true or not, it was about to hit the legal record. And we had no idea what bomb she dropped. My father's message sat on the screen like it was vibrating. Before she collapsed, she told the judge something about you. Something serious. You need to hear it. My mouth went dry. Saskia leaned in, reading over my shoulder. What did she say? She whispered. I typed back. What did she tell the judge? The 3 dots appeared instantly. Then disappeared. Then reappeared. My dad was struggling with the wording, never a good sign. Finally, the reply came through. She told the court you're unstable. She claimed you have violent episodes. She said the restraining order you filed was a cover-up. She implied abuse? For a full 5 seconds, my brain wouldn't process the words. Abuse. Violent. Unstable. It didn't even sound like English. Saskia's hand clamped around my wrist. What? Her eyes widened. She told the court you were abusive? I nodded numbly. Not because I believed it. Not because it had any power. But because I recognized the tactic. My mother wasn't just lashing out. She was escalating. Hard. In her mind, she wasn't losing control, she was fighting for it. I texted my father again, fingers shaking more with anger than fear. Did she provide evidence? He wrote back. No. The judge asked for documentation. She didn't have any. She started rambling, then fainted. I read the message twice. Saskia sank onto the couch. Garrett, this is dangerous. She's lying under oath now. She's involving the courts. This isn't emotional manipulation anymore. This is a legal ambush. I exhaled through my teeth. She was right. And that meant I had to think like someone defending a family, not a wounded son. I called my attorney. He answered on the second ring. Garrett? Everything okay? No, I said. My mother told the court I'm violent and abusive. He didn't even react. Just sighed in the weary tone of a man who'd seen too many unhinged people try to weaponize the legal system. Did she provide evidence? No. Then she sunk her own case. False claims without documentation? Judges hate that. It's perjury adjacent. But we need to get ahead of it. How? You're showing up tomorrow morning. We're filing a response. We're filing for sanctions. We're formally notifying the court of her restraining order violations and her pattern of harassment. And if necessary, we're preparing for a defamation suit. My stomach tightened. Is it that serious? He didn't hesitate. Yes. Because if she's told a judge you're violent, then the next logical step is claiming you're unfit to parent. She's not just going for visitation rights. She's going for leverage over your daughter. Saskia gasped. I closed my eyes. No. No, she wasn't getting anywhere near Ivy. Not emotionally. Not legally. Not in any realm of reality. Okay, I said. I'll be there first thing in the morning. We hung up. For a long moment, neither Saskia nor I spoke. The house was quiet except for the faint hum of the infant monitor. Then she whispered, She's willing to lie to the court about you. What stops her from making a CPS report? I froze. Because she was right. A false CPS report was exactly the kind of vindictive nuclear button my mother would see as a viable strategy. A way to punish me. A way to prove her delusions. A way to force government agencies into our home. Everything inside me went cold. Saskia, I said, we need to prepare for that. She nodded, fear flickering across her face. And that's when my phone buzzed again. Another text from Dad. Garrett, she didn't collapse from stress. She had a stroke. My chest tightened. Saskia covered her mouth. My father sent one more text, almost hesitant. She may not survive the week. I stared at the screen. Not triumphant. Not relieved. Not vindicated. Just stunned. Because suddenly, the story wasn't just about a toxic mother fighting for control. It was about a dying woman, desperate, delusional, and willing to burn the world down on her way out. And now I had to decide. Was I going to see her one last time? Or was this where the story ended? I didn't sleep. Not with stroke, abuse allegations, and grandparent rights clanging in my head. At 4 a.m., I sat up. Saskia stirred. You're not going, right? I didn't answer. Because the truth was ugly. I didn't want to forgive my mother. I didn't even want to comfort her. I just needed one thing. To finally hear why she tried to destroy me. Saskia sat up beside me, hand warm on my arm. Then go, she whispered. But not for her. For you. And if she tries anything, walk out. I kissed her forehead, got dressed, and drove through the empty streets toward the hospital. By the time I reached the cardiac wing, dawn was breaking pale and cold. My father was waiting outside her room. He looked smaller than I remembered. She's awake, he said. But, Garrett, she's confused. Drifting in and out. I nodded, bracing myself. Then I stepped into the room. My mother turned her head, eyes glassy, voice thin as thread. Garrett, thank God you came. I need to tell you. She paused, fighting for breath. Then, I lied, because losing control felt worse than losing you. And just like that, the truth finally landed.